Let's bring in author of Fossil Future, Alex Epstein. Alex, let's go first back to COP28 and the dangerous communist morons who want to shut down U.S. natural gas production. And I include Senator Markey in that group. Natural gas is the very thing that has helped lower our carbon emissions by 20% thereabouts since 2005 and has prevented several billion metric tons of carbon dioxide to be emitted during that time because it's a clean burning fuel.
Well, here's my focus. I mean, the natural gas industry should just tell Markey no natural gas for you this winter. If you wanted them to stop production in 2022, you shouldn't get it in Massachusetts. You shouldn't get electricity, which depends on natural gas. 2022, do these people know what they're talking about? 2022, Europe was terrified of winter. It was like Game of Thrones because they had such a shortage of natural gas. They desperately needed it from us. They had been so poorly prepared. And these guys are saying, hey, Europe freeze to death. The rest of the world freeze to death. I'm in Wyoming right now, by the way. Like, you couldn't stay out here an hour without natural gas and without coal. So these guys are just engaging in, they're calling for mass murder. They don't realize it, but that's what they're calling for because energy makes us be able to be alive. And the winter should remind us of this.
Alex, I want to get your take on the debate last night. It was interesting to hear Gavin Newsom talk about the oil companies gouging consumers and all he's doing to save the planet by the transition. And he obviously got some pushback from Ron DeSantis, talking about the disparity in prices in California versus the rest of the country. How do you think it went? And what do you think of the argument made by Gavin Newsom?
Well, I wish they had talked more about energy. I wrote on Twitter today, I thought DeSantis' response was one of the best I've seen from any politician because he really nailed the root cause. And this is the same thing with COP28 is government dictated green energy, and government dictated is important. It's not just the idea that, hey, green energy should compete, which I totally believe in. It's that it should be mandated and we should restrict fossil fuels, restrict nuclear. And that's what California has done. That's why we have such a bad grid. That's where I live normally in California. And the gas prices thing, DeSantis is totally right to call out Newsom. Newsom refers to California gas prices as a mystery surcharge. Like, for some reason, we in California get discriminated against. This is just a conspiracy theory. It's obvious, as DeSantis said, it's these government dictated green energy policies that make California incredibly hostile to oil and make our gasoline unnecessarily expensive.
The high prices are actually the point, aren't they? It's to make people suffer and to ultimately force them to... Go ahead, Alex, on that note.
Yeah, you just nailed it. Because Newsom's whole goal is for fossil fuels to be much more expensive. So whenever someone who's anti-fossil fuels tell you they care about gasoline prices, they are lying to you if they're pretending they want them to be low. They want them to be much higher. Even RFK Jr., I know, is a hero to many right now. We debated publicly a couple years ago. He's since evaded debating with me, even though he's supposedly so courageous. He admitted that under his policy, gasoline would cost $12.50 a gallon. Now, most people won't admit that. He gets credit for admitting that, but why don't most people admit that? Because people would reject them, and they should reject them.
But it was interesting. They want the gas prices high, but they don't want to take the blame for doing it, which is why they want to shut down American oil exploration, which is the dirty little secret they have here. Alex Epstein, stick around with us. We'll come back to you in just a moment.
The White House is trying to prevent China from cashing in on Joe Biden's green agenda. Good luck with that.
Our own Edward Lawrence has more from the White House on that. Edward.
Well, Sean and Dagan, the Treasury Department tried to make sure that Chinese batteries don't benefit from the $7,500 EV tax credit. The new proposed rules will be rolled out aggressively over the next 2 years. In 2024, a car will be ineligible for the $7,500 rebate if less than 60% of the battery is manufactured or assembled in North America. Also, if less than half the materials are extracted or processed in the United States or a country with a free trade agreement with the U.S. In 2025, no less than 60% of the materials must be extracted or processed in the U.S. or a country with a free trade agreement. In the call about the changes, the White House Clean Energy Advisor John Podesta says this will force manufacturing back to the U.S.
The proposed guidance will provide clarity and certainty to U.S. automakers, battery manufacturers, and producers of critical minerals. It'll encourage these industries to invest in diversified and resilient critical mineral and battery supply chains, and it'll support good-paying U.S. jobs.
The rules require physical tracking of the materials and batteries by the automakers. Car experts say buyers want range, and that's not in the electric vehicles right now.
The market is just not ready for it. And then add in the infrastructure, which I've said from day one is horrible. The infrastructure for electric vehicles is almost non-existent in rural parts of America.
And technically, if you read the rules, a battery made in Mexico or Canada and materials coming from Australia make the car eligible for that rebate. Back to you, Dagan. Sean?
Edward Lawrence from the White House. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Edward. Alex Epstein is back with us. Now, Alex, on the topic of electric vehicles, they're not only more expensive to buy and more expensive to fix, they also don't work.
Consumer Reports found that EV owners who bought models from just the past 3 years, and we're not talking about dinosaur vehicles, that they had nearly 80% more problems than conventional automobiles.
All right, and Alex, so these are more expensive vehicles, but isn't this really the point behind government mandates versus free enterprise, where people pick the products, the vehicles that actually work for them in their lives that actually work?
Yeah, you got it. 100%. This is just more of the government dictated green energy. We don't need people to dictate to us what is a good car, but the government is trying to mandate that and force us in various ways. So what does that mean? It means inferior vehicles in terms of range and convenience. It means inferior vehicles in terms of reliability. And most of all, DeSantis brought this up last night with Newsom, it means stressing an electric grid because we're artificially increasing demand for reliable electricity when we're decreasing the supply of reliable electricity. This is the nightmare we have in California, where Newsom announces, hey, let's use all EVs, and then 6 days later literally says, you can't charge your EVs because we don't have enough electricity. Like, this is the specter of government-dictated green energy. Let's stop now, and let's get rid of COP28. As I said on Twitter, we need to withdraw from COP. These things should be stopped. We need energy freedom conferences. COP is taking us just toward mass suffering and death around the world. It needs to stop. It can't be reformed.
Literally, if you get rid of coal, that's baseload power. We have some nuclear under development, but not these left-wing nuts who are championing it. And now it's natural gas they want to get rid of. We literally will be in the dark, but they've made a bet on electric vehicles, and we will have no way to charge them. But Alex, on that note, you look at these electric vehicles and these reliability problems, it's because you have old car makers who don't know how to make them and new car makers who don't know how to make any automobiles. Who on the planet cooked up this idea that this is the direction the entire nation needed to go?
Well, it's all based on this, UN COP28 goal of net zero that tragically so many companies and financial institutions have agreed to. They just have this dogma that we have to go net zero by 2050. We brought up Markey before saying, hey, let's shut down natural gas production. Does this moron know that natural gas depletes? So you shut down natural gas production, you don't have the same amount of natural gas. You start losing all your natural gas, you have nothing, and then we're not allowed to use coal. We have basically no new nuclear coming on anytime soon. We're shutting down our coal plants. What are you gonna use? But it's because we have this dogma of let's go net zero at all costs versus let's do what's best for human flourishing, which is my whole message, the message of energytalkingpoints.com, the message of Fossil Future. And if we go that way, then we can keep having a better and better world, but not with this net zero. Net zero is a prescription for mass suffering and death.
No doubt about that. Alex Epstein, always a pleasure to have you on. Always smart and insightful. We appreciate it. Thank you.